Hi everyone, Menachem Brodie from Vortex Training here. Happy 2012. I hope all of you had a happy, healthy, and safe holiday and New Year's season. Welcome back. Here's to a great 2012. Today I'm going to break from protocol and I'm actually going to talk a little bit about training sick as I've been knocked back on my butt for the last 3 days, voiceless, and just feeling absolutely awful. It's something that I would rather, instead of having you guys ask me about it, I would much rather tell you ahead of time and help you prevent getting sick. So we're going to start off with some basic things here. Hand washing and basic rules that you should follow not to get sick. And it's so simple, it's so easy, but so few of us do it. Most of us don't wash our hands long enough. The thing that we need to remember is that we need to wash our hands for 15 seconds. We need to lather everywhere. Most of us kind of do this, but we need to get all the way around to the wrists, go into the finger space, make sure we're counting to 15 or singing happy birthday to yourself once. You may want to do that in your head if you're in a public restroom and there are other people there, or else you may find yourself with, actually, maybe that's a good thing. Who knows? Happy birthday to me, and people are just walking away from you. We want to make sure that we're washing for 15 seconds at the minimum. Antibacterial soap does not do as much good as we think it does. It kills all the germs, both good and bad. So a bar of soap will do just as well as the liquid soap, the antibacterial soap. But you have to make sure to use hot water, and you also need to make sure that you're taking the time to wash your hands properly. Now, once you're done washing your hands, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they go and they touch the lever for the towels to come out. That's something that we want to do before we wash our hands. So you want to kind of take the end sink, but you want to crank the paper towel out first before you turn on the water. Turn on the water, let it get hot, put soap on your hands, lather up, make sure you're doing a good job getting everywhere all the way down to the wrist and maybe even a little bit above the wrist. And then don't turn this faucet off. You want to grab that paper towel that you've rolled out, wipe your hands, crank a little bit more paper towel out, rip that off, turn off the faucet, throw that paper towel out, take the second one, and use that to open your door on the way out, and use your elbow to hold that door instead of putting your hand there. Because unfortunately, and a lot of people generally don't have good hygiene. So it's a simple, basic tip that can help you from getting the common cold, the flu, a ton of other stuff. It's something that you should practice all the time. I know it seems asinine, it may sound silly, some of you are sitting there giggling, but it really has a tremendous impact on me getting sick. I used to get sick all the time back in college. I worked for the University of Pittsburgh men's basketball team, and I remember I took a class by Tony Solisi, the head athletic trainer, and he talked about this, and I'm not kidding you. That winter after implementing that, I had one cold as opposed to like 3 or 4 the year before, and I was working longer hours, training more than I'd ever done before, and just not getting sick. So try it for yourself. A lot of us use those hand sanitizers, the alcohol-based hand sanitizer. I know they're popular in hospitals. A lot of people have them in their purse. If I remember correctly, I believe she said that after the second time, either for the day or period that you ever use those, they're no longer effective. Not only that, but they're killing both the good and bad bacteria on your hands. And yes, there are good bacteria and germs, believe it or not. Not all germs are bad. So something to take into consideration, instead of using that alcohol-based rub and thinking your hands are clean, wait until you get to a sink and you can properly wash your hands. And by the way, if some of you wonder why some of the bathrooms out there, the restrooms that have the double doors, have a small trash can by the main door and then another one by the second door, it's because people are doing this more and more frequently not to get sick. So it is common out there, and don't drop your paper towels on the floor, throw them out somewhere. But the worst part about those hand sanitizers is that you think your hands are clean. So then we commit cardinal sin number 2 for hygiene, and that is touch our faces. Whether it's an itch or just doing this, whatever it may be, it's something that we really want to make sure that we're keeping our hands free of our face. So if I have an itch, I generally kind of do this. Try to use the inside of my shirt for coughing. If I don't have a crook of an arm or I'm sitting next to 2 people, I generally cough down my shirt or into my sweater instead of my hand. Same thing with sneezing. People laugh at me, but I sneeze into my shirt like this. It keeps it from spreading. It keeps it to myself, and I'm not sharing it with anybody else. So just something to consider. There's another way that we can avoid from getting sick, and a lot of you may be sitting there thinking, how else can I keep from getting sick aside from hygiene? Nutrition. We want to make sure during these times of the year that we're taking the time to really make sure that we're eating a healthy diet. Fresh fruits and vegetables, or frozen or canned, they're all good. The frozen I find are a little bit better than the fresh sometimes by the time I get to eat them. And I can steam them in the microwave, and I have fresh vegetables, healthy vegetables. Proteins and also fats. Fats are important. One of the reasons why fat's important is it applies for our cells in our body. That's why you have on the chicken soup, you have that little skim on top that look like little drops. That's the fat. They're hydrophobic, so they come together. Same thing in our body and in our cells. So fats are important. I'm not talking saturated and trans fats. I'm talking healthy fats, so nuts, 2% milk, 1% milk. This time of year can be healthy. And there are lots of other healthy foods out there that do have fats in them, including bananas. Bananas have saturated fat in them, believe it or not. But the point of all this is that if you make sure that you're eating a really clean, healthy diet, washing your hands properly, keeping your hands away from your face, and practicing proper etiquette, you're going to see the occurrences of you getting sick go down. And that's really what it's about. We shouldn't be talking about training sick, which we will in a second because most of us will. But we want to make sure that we're not getting sick. We only have 365 days a year that we can conceivably train. Of that, we're taking, in my philosophy at Human Vortex Training, we're taking at least one full day off a week, not training at all. So 52 days less, but we're looking at just over 300 days that we can train, of which you think about the off weeks or the transition periods that we're going to have. So that's another 3 weeks knocked out right there. So that's another 21 days. The point is that we really have about 240 to 252 days a year that we can conceivably train. And that's not that much when you look at the bigger picture. So we want to make sure we're as healthy as possible year-round. So here in Pittsburgh, it went from being 52 and sunny on Thursday. It is snowy, and the temperature is dropping, and it's going to be icy and 17 degrees tonight. And during this time period, our bodies are adjusting. They're trying to thermoregulate, get used to that, and the biochemistry is also changing as well. And our immune systems can drop because maybe we're not keeping up the best of habits. And this is a time of year we tend to see either people don't wash their hands as much or just immune systems drop, and we're getting a little bit more illness. So really important to eat a healthy diet, and you can find quality dietitians out there. I have a dietitian that I use here in Pittsburgh, Kim Schwabenbauer of Fuel Your Passion. She's great, but I will ship people off. Anybody can be a nutritionist. My little niece, who's 11, who knows what carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are because I've taught her, can call herself a nutritionist. A dietitian is somebody who has an RD/LD, who's registered and licensed, has schooling, has the proper education to be able to help you. So be very wary of that. And I'm not trying to market myself out, but a lot of the triathletes and athletes that I see, the cyclists, it's general nutrition. We just need to kind of get them in the right ballpark, and things generally go well. And then obviously, as you get to the higher level of performance, we need to refine and adjust and make sure you're progressing properly. But practice proper diet. Proper diet, proper hygiene. Now, let's say you do both of those and you still get sick. It happens. So when do you train and when don't you train? That's a really great question, and a lot of people don't realize that. I'm sure a lot of you are out there asking, I don't know when I'm supposed to train or when I'm not supposed to train. Or you're saying, I had the flu last year, I did a 3-hour training ride with 3x15 steady states and lactate thresholds and a bunch of power starts, and then I threw up after. It was epic. It was awesome. Not really. I personally here at Human Vortex Training like to go by the neck up rule. And I don't necessarily have research to support this, but what I do have are personal experiences in watching other athletes and other professionals and how they handle illness. The neck up rule is anything from the neck up is generally safe to train. And you may need to tone down the intensity and increase your recovery time and increase your sleep and increase your nutrition. The fourth thing is that a lot of athletes don't do is they don't adjust their heart rate zones. For those of you training based off heart rate, that's really important because when we're ill, stressed, or tired, our heart rate's going to be a little bit higher. So it's really important to remember that you may be doing endurance, but your heart rate is 4 to 8 beats per minute higher than what you normally would. So instead of toning back a little bit, just know that you're not feeling well and that your heart rate's going to be a little bit higher. However, the neck up does not include fever, does not include tingling, chills. That's full body. Fever is full body. So anytime you have a fever, anything over 100, I generally tell my athletes, it's much better to take one day off when you have a temperature of 99, 100, and take care of yourself, get an extra hour or two of sleep, or even an hour or two in bed helps as well, or in your recliner. Eating healthier, don't go for the ice cream. eat cleaner foods, drink water. That can save you, that can take a 3 or 4 day illness from 6 or 7 days. Again, I don't have any research proof for this, but that's just something that I've seen over and over again with the athletes with whom I've worked and the teams with which I've worked. So tone it down a little bit. Don't be afraid to say, you know what, I just don't feel 100% today. Instead of doing 3 steady states or lactate thresholds, I'm going to do 2 with 1.5 time or 2 time recovery period, whatever your coach may have you doing. Really important to remember that, because we only have 245 to 252 days a year to really train if we're taking the proper time off to rest and recover. So it's really important to remember that, to take that time off. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I can't stress that enough. Again, that's why we want to have proper hygiene, proper diet, and then scale it back when you're not feeling that well. Now, the other thing is, if you are going to train and you're not feeling well, you want to take an accounting. You need to go through your warm-up and see how you're feeling, because a lot of us will go out and say, I did a 15-minute warm-up, I felt like crap, but I pushed through. I'm harder for it. I'm stronger for it. There are some days, yes, and some days, no. If there's illness in your family or you're generally not feeling that well, something that I personally like to stress is the 15-minute rule. So you want to start off your exercise routine with a 10 to 15-minute warm-up. If at the end of the 15 minutes you're not feeling even like so-so, I don't know which way it could go, cut it. If you feel horrible, if you're below you're like, I just don't quite feel right, stop there. You can do a 5-minute cool down if you want, or just jump off the bike or turn around and go back home. But do a 15-minute warm-up to kind of take an accounting of how you're actually feeling. A lot of us are already familiar, especially those of us who work. At the end of my day when I'm doing my workout, if I'm doing a bike at 9 o'clock at night, if after 15 minutes I'm not feeling it, or I don't feel like I'm a little bit more enlightened or peppy, I'll cut it. What that is it's not physical exhaustion necessarily, it's not mental exhaustion necessarily, it's your body isn't ready, isn't there for the exercise session. And what that means is that if you take a little bit of quality now, that's going to take a lot off later. Now, if you have a string of days like that, you need to talk to your coach and see what's going on and figure out what's going on. I don't mean do that every single day. If you're like that every day and say, hey, he told me not to train, that's not true. You know your body best, but when you're not feeling well, you have a stuffy nose, a runny nose, you just feel like crap. If after 15 minutes you're not feeling it beyond your normal not feeling it, if that is normal for you, cut it, bag it, call it a day, go get a glass of orange juice, go get something, put your feet up, eat something healthy, have some hummus and some carrots, have some yogurt, whatever it may be, have a healthy food, relax, give your body a little bit more rest, get to bed a little early, and call it a day. One of the things that I want to stress is that if you have a fever for longer than 72 hours, or it's a fever over 102, 101, you do want to call your PCP and possibly even go to an emergency room to be seen. It is important that you pay attention to your body and what it's telling you. Worst case scenario, you call your PCP and they say you're fine. Best case scenario, they say come in, they find something, and they give you, you have a sinus infection for a week, you didn't even know it. So pay attention to your bodies. Remember, we only have so many days to live. We only have so many days to train. Treat your body kindly. You're only given one of it. And that's a large part as to why here at Human Vortex Training, I just had a phone appointment tonight with a new client, and I said, look, performance comes second. Injury prevention comes first. And here for 2011, I am incredibly happy and proud to say that for all of the Human Vortex Training athletes everywhere, there were only 2 sport-related injuries, one of which was an overuse injury for the foot of someone training for an Ironman. He finished 36th in his age group out of 150 at Ironman Arizona, his first ever Ironman, which is an incredible accomplishment. The second was a knee injury due to poor bike fit, and that's something that we had been trying to address, and just a little bit too long on the bike instead of taking some time off. But other than that, healthy athletes, I'm looking for an injury-free, 100% injury-free for all Human Vortex Training athletes for 2012, and the most accomplishment out there. So that's my modus operandi. That's what I'm hoping you guys will take out of this video series is train smarter, not harder. Listen to your body. Give your body the time to rest and recover. You're not getting stronger by pushing and making yourself hurt every single day. You need to let your body recover. 1 day off a week is all I'm telling you guys. Completely off the bike. Spend it with your family. Spend it with your girlfriend. Spend it cleaning your bike. Spend it, going over your wetsuit with a fine-tooth comb. I don't care. Take a day off. Give your body some rest. Remember, train smarter, not harder, and it's all about you.